Wait a minute. There's a helicopter for you. Give it to you.
We gotta have the sound effects. Thank you, Mr. Harrington. All right, we'll do a roll call.
Throw some turkeys off the side.
Judy Corso,
Present.
Mark Harrington,
Here.
Joe Haberger,
Here.
Tim King,
Here.
Carl McGookie,
Here.
David Miller,
Here.
William Siemens,
Here.
Luveta Wilson,
Here.
Kevin Zier,
I am here.
Mike Zuloff.
Here.
All right. First order of business is the election of officers for 2026. Are there any nominations?
I move we keep the board as is.
I'll second that.
Wow,
That moved fast.
that moved
I was waiting for
fast.
Judy.
That would be, let's see, I guess that would be me as chair,
Yep,
Bill as vice chair,
yep,
and Mr. Zier as secretary.
correct.
All right. Any other nominations?
Do we need an alternative secretary while Mr. Zier is
Yeah, I
visiting
need some
southern
help.
parts of the,
I do.
Mark Harrington
Climate.
does that.
I don't think he heard
Maybe
you.
you could do
All right,
it.
No.
we'll
Mr.
Chair.
call as needed,
okay.
yes. Mr. Zuloff.
I couldn't hear, these people were talking, I couldn't hear the Mr.
I didn't make a
Dr.
motion.
He
I-
didn't
Judy
make a
did.
motion, he had a question about Mr. Zier.
Well, in that
Since he
case-
might be gone for next month, and I said, well, we'll
Yeah.
cover that as needed.
In that case, I move that the nominations be closed.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Third.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I guess
That's
we
your-
need,
Thank you.
what? A
That's nothing
motion
to
to
say there.
accept by unanimous consent then, right?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Moving on, minutes from November meeting, and those are in front of us. Thank you, Quinn, for providing those copies for us. And Mr. Harrington for pulling those together. What's your favor?
It'd be me, you, and
on the
Judy at the
minutes?
same time.
Is this for the November meeting, right?
I move we accept the minutes as presented.
Second?
Been moved and seconded, we accept the minutes as presented, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have new business? I guess I would have one item, seen in social media, the discussion of DG Market coming to downtown Sandusky.
I can talk about that.
Yes, I thought you might.
So at the most recent planning commission meeting, that was last week, the owner of the site of the former Crimus grocery store brought a site plan approval to
good.
planning commission. And their proposal was to split the lot in half. So the parking lot up
Can
north.
you help me where we are talking about?
So the Crimus grocery store on
Washington.
East Washington Street, the
Okay, yeah,
the
yeah.
vacant building there.
Yep, where the
Um,
grocery store used to be.
A and P.
Grocery store used to be, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a long rectangular parcel, and the back of it goes all the way to the parking lot, like across from Tim Dorsey Fitness. Everybody picture where that is?
Yep.
So that half of the empty parking lot, they're gonna create a new parcel there and save that for future development. They're thinking maybe like a small scale apartment building or some sort of housing element there, which would be a really great benefit to downtown. That is not drawn up. We don't know what that might look like, but essentially the site plan review was looking at the idea of reserving that square of space for future development for downtown. And then a Dollar General Market wants to occupy the old grocery store. So they would reuse that same building, and they needed planning commission's review to reduce the required parking spaces from our code, which is generally good practice. And when our observation, staff observation, saw that in DG markets, when we drove around, there's like 6 to 8 cars in the parking lot at any given time. I even heard from folks that even the Crimus had just a few parking cars in the lot at any given time. So there's lots of public parking around. So Planning Commission did approve that. So they're going to have 22 parking spaces. They'll put up a privacy fence across the backyard of the neighboring residential house. We'll make sure their lighting is dark sky compliant, all the things that we look for on the site plan. But the land use itself is allowed. I did try to pursue getting them to commit to selling a specific amount of square footage of fresh foods, like, dairy and milk and produce and things. They would not commit to that. We didn't have any regulations to force them to do that. But what we're hearing from them, it will be a DG Market. That's a significant investment in that brand for them, including the signage, all of the coolers inside. So we do have some confidence that it will have fresh food and not just be shelf-stable food. We also pushed them a little bit on the outside design of the property, but we don't have any design regulation on what the brand looks like, what the building looks like, because it's not in the design review district. We don't have any general design standards in Sandusky. So it's going to look just like their branded DG Market store, similar to the one on Tiffin when they're complete.
Thank you.
And they said they want to be open by May. That's what we're hearing.
Oh, good.
Okay.
That their plan is to do that work in the next few months and be open in late spring.
Where's the
Mr.
management?
Chairman.
The management team you're talking, where are they from?
So the owner of the property, Dave Yanko, was there and spoke on about the project. It's my understanding he lives in Columbus and he stays in the blue building. So the blue house next door, they own that too. That's an Airbnb, and I think he stays there frequently when he's in town. And the DG Market is just a lease, my understanding is his group, he has an investment group, they will maintain ownership of the property and they're leasing to Dollar General for a 10-year lease.
It's been a conversation among the neighbors, I know, when are we gonna get something here? And really, being able to walk to a grocery store in that neighborhood is important. I think it's gonna be good, depending on what they sell.
Yeah, and I've heard some concern about the brand, or will it really feel like a grocery store? And what I've told people is if you want them to sell fresh food, go there and buy the fresh food, because they'll keep stocking it if we buy it.
That's right.
Mr. Chairman.
You had,
She answered my question. I
Okay.
didn't know whether it was a lease or they were buying it or
All right.
what was going on with the building. Are these the same people from California who originally purchased it or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and they had the food hall concept, and that was just, they were unable to get financing for that, and so they've been trying to figure out what else to do to activate the building, and this was what they brought forward.
Okay.
So this is, just because this is reuse of the existing building, they're not demolishing it?
Correct.
So the appearance will, okay. So there was a move and a request by former city commissioner that we do some legislation requiring fresh foods, and I don't know if it ever went anywhere. This might be the moment to consider that. That anyone offering groceries have some percent of the square footage devoted to. Not to pick on Dollar General because they're not the only ones, but the DG Market is more of a branding thing. I think we already have one in town. We all know where it is. It was almost comical, it was like, there's this little kiosk near the register with, 3 bananas and a bag of apples or something. It was pretty symbolic, and nobody's gonna, somebody might grab a piece of fresh fruit, but it's not going to be a destination for shopping for fresh fruits and vegetables. And it doesn't have to be a lot, but having some percentage, I think this might be the moment to revisit that. The culture of this town is kind of libertarian, we don't want to tell merchants what to do. But on the other hand, we have a duty to the health and safety of our citizens too. So it might not. They're used to that. This company and others deal with that in other communities. This is not new ground. So why not?
I can certainly socialize that with city commissioners. I did have I was asked a few years ago to research regulation on this type of land use. Some cities are defining what they, definition for discount retail, and when discount retail carries fresh foods, that it be a specific square footage of space dedicated to that. And it's based on research that finds that, to your point, when it's very small and not really a significant variety, people tend to not buy it. But when it takes up a larger footprint in the store, it's more likely to be purchased, and then fresh food is actually proliferated in the neighborhood. So I have quite a bit of research about that if the city commission is interested in bringing that forward. I'm not sure, the law department would have to say whether that would actually apply to this if they're already operating, because a lot of times new legislation only applies to things coming online after it's passed.
Right, it would only apply to this site, it might not apply to the existing, but that's okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Siemens.
has there been any discussion about expanding the area that the Design Review Board has weighed over? Considering the Battery Park development, has there been any discussion along those lines?
I haven't heard any discussion about expanding the design reviews district, but I made that point very specifically on purpose about the GG market. We don't have any control of what it looks like because of that. With Battery Park, it's a planned unit development, so everything that they specified, the rhythm of the windows, the quality of the materials, the colors, that's all in the PUD. So it is very strictly design controlled. So we don't really have to worry about Battery Park. The outcomes of Battery Park will be what they've documented, or else they'll have to get special approval to change things. So we do have a lot of design control over that site specifically, but anything that fills in between there,
How far?
depends on if the city has any.
What are the boundaries of the?
The boundaries of the design district are Hancock, Washington Street, and Decatur, if I recall correctly, to the water, and also the facing parcels on the other side of the road. So the other side of Washington on those blocks, the other side of Hancock on those blocks. So it's just a real distinct rectangle in town.
So nothing down Market or water? I would, for discussion's sake, I would propose that we, as an advisory board, take that into consideration and maybe make a recommendation to the city to expand that design review area. Just putting it out there.
If that's a motion, I'd second that.
I will make a motion that I haven't put enough thought into it to consider specific areas that it should encompass.
Well, I was just going to ask if you wanted to define that.
Like I said, I haven't looked at, maybe something for our next meeting, I don't know. I'm not willing to put it into a motion until we can define it as a specific area.
Okay, well, let's consider it for next meeting then,
And maybe everybody can
right,
take a look at
think
that.
about it.
Might look at old plat.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I understand, I
Mrs.
haven't been there, but there is a GG Market on Venice Road.
Yes,
Is that correct?
yes.
Yes.
Have you been there?
I haven't been in that one, but I went in a different one. I think it was in Bucyrus. When I was driving by, I was just like, I gotta see what this looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, the one that I went into was very bright. It looked like a grocery store. There was a lot of coolers with and frozen and fresh meats and dairy and produce. And I remember seeing Haagen-Dazs ice cream in the freezer, and I was like, that's a brand I buy. And it was similar in scope to like what you see at Target. Maybe a little bit smaller on the fresh foods.
quite a
the
bit
Target,
smaller
but,
than Target.
the one I went into. I have not been in the one in Sandusky.
I've been in the one on Dennis Road.
So have I.
Me too.
And what's your opinion?
It's adequate. I mean, it's not the big footprint, so it's what you see is what you get. It's square footage like an Aldi or whatever. They've got a lot more dry goods, I guess you'd call it, than what an Aldi would. It's got multiple aisles of shame rather than just one. So
How did it compare to what Cardinal used to carry?
probably not the display of produce as such like Cardinal, but otherwise, and not the butcher department, obviously, but it filled in for, I'd stopped at a convenience store, they didn't have what I wanted, and Dollar General did, so, yeah. So it's bigger than a convenience store, smaller than a supersized grocery store, so.
Mr. Chairman,
It's better than what we have downtown.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
what if we all encouraged each other to go check them out? Go see it. I know that they have huge cases of frozen food, so there are lots of choices of, pizza rolls and even frozen vegetables, and those are pretty healthy. Frozen vegetables are great. So, they don't like the losses of fresh vegetables, so that's
I would say that at this point, based on what Ms. Blair has told us, that would just be for our education. There's not really much we can do to change
Sure.
what they're going to carry, other than make the request. If they're a good retailer, they're going to carry what their customers want.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
they made a mistake on the design on the inside of that building. They put the checkout where the outside doors are. People were stealing their stuff and going out the door before they could catch them. So now the checkout is over in the corner, and they can keep an eye on the people not stealing the food or whatever they were
I think
stealing.
we're getting into the weeds here.
Yeah,
Let's,
stealing the food.
I don't think we need to tell Dollar General how to run their
Yes.
markets. They've been dealing with issues of retail a lot longer than we have. And
Excuse me,
yes, Mrs.
I
Corson.
have another issue on new business, if we're
Yes,
still
ma'am.
on that. I'd like to ask Aaron what the city has, what plans they have for the Cedar Point Beckland building downtown in this year.
That's a good question. The Beckling building, we have submitted, first, the city commission passed the vote to accept the building. So the building and the pier are now under city ownership. I mean, there's still paperwork and things, but essentially we're there. And we have some initial environmental study, engineering study to kind of understand a little bit of the conditions of the building and the pier. And we have put out a request for qualifications for development proposals for the reuse of that building. So that includes the historic Beckling building, the pier itself. Obviously, we expect the Jet Express to be able to maintain their lease and continue operating there. It's very specific in the RFQ that it's a historic protected building. They would need to readapt it and use it with the historic preservation standards. It's also in the RFQ a discussion about how the downtown plan talks about the Beckling building, which is to activate the space, maybe have multiple vendors or food and beverage, perhaps office on the second floor. But really, we are looking for ideas for, development teams to bring us ideas of how we could revitalize that space. It's, from a city planning perspective, it's a really crucial location. And if it's an interesting thing about when you think about human behavior and pedestrians and shoppers, it's hard to get people to turn a corner in a retail environment. So when the malls were designed across the U.S., they put the anchors on each ends because that was driving people to go from one place to another. So we have a really big anchor and a draw at the Jackson Street Pier, and we have a big anchor and a draw with Columbus Avenue as we've done the investment here. And to get people to turn the corner to spend time in both places, the Beckling building being active will be really helpful. So it's kind of a crucial spot in the city. So we're really excited to see what those bring. That is live right now. You can find it on our website. I think we gave folks 2 months. It's a pretty big response time, so there's really a good amount of time for teams to think about what it would be. There is a required letter of intent, so anybody that wants to answer that RFQ has to send us a letter of intent that they're going to prepare a package for us by a specific date. And then there's also a walkthrough, so we're going to host a walkthrough. So anybody that submits that letter will be invited to actually walk through the building so they can get a better sense of the space, the square footage, the existing conditions, as they prepare those qualifications packages for us.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I remember they used to have a high-end men's clothing store there.
Captain's quarters.
Captain's quarters, and, they used the mezzanine upstairs as changing rooms or different things that they displayed, but it was great place to go.
It was a good stop.
Mrs. Corso.
I went through it a year ago, and I know, in my opinion, it's very cut up, and I'm
Yes.
wondering if those walls are able to be taken down and make a bigger space.
I don't know, I haven't seen like blueprints or drawings of the building, and I don't know what exactly was added. There's definitely some, like, when it was compartmentalized, I think that's more of a newer, like 60s, 70s build out. So my expectation is a lot of that could come down. Obviously, weight-bearing walls couldn't, but that would be up to what the architects look like. But I'd love to see it restored how it was originally designed, and I think it was pretty open air, but I don't know that for a fact.
It's a beautiful building.
I agree.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. King?
Ms. Blair, so you said you haven't closed yet. The city has not closed with Cedar Point yet on this building, correct?
I know the city commission approved it. I just don't know where the paperwork is. Ms. Gilson
Okay.
and community development is leading that.
Because I would think that you would do your environmental engineering inspections prior to the close.
I think we did those like last year.
Okay.
Like there's a phase 1 on it. There was
Okay.
an engineering report
Okay,
on it.
all right, good, very good. Thank you.
All right, anything else under new business? If not,
Good point.
Yeah.
we'll move on to old business, Nusky Bay Pathway.
Good morning. I'm Megan Stuckey. I'm project manager for engineering with Public Works. Since Aaron's departure, I'm overseeing both the landing and the Sandusky Bay Pathway project over on the east end of town. So with the Sandusky Bay Pathway project, right now with winter, they've been doing minimal work. They finished some fencing as weather was warm. They plan to return in about March or April, weather dependent, to finish some of the final surfaces, start getting concrete in. There's a few items that need moved around. The big piece of that is the bridge. We have gone through ODOT approvals and submittals on that. It is in fabrication as we speak. Fabrication process involves ODOT going to the facility to check the steel and the components to make sure everything is put together correctly. Once that is, and we get clearance through ODOT, that bridge will be delivered in 2 pieces and put together over there across Pipe Creek. I do not have a timeline on that because there's so many people involved with that process, but can certainly update the group once we have that. As for the landing right now, they have been working, doing pile driving. On the back end, they've been doing a lot of the final design work for the lighthouse base, which includes a bathroom structures, pavilions, getting all their submittals in. So when that warm weather starts, they will start their building construction. They are 95% done with all underground utilities. So they have been able to move, continue working over the cold weather. They have had a week or 2 off. We continue to have our meetings with our regulatories, ODNR, Corps of Engineers, keeping them up to date on the project and answering any questions they might have. As for the pathway on the west end of town, you may be aware we did receive funding through ODOT last year sometime. And that is to continue the path from Lions Park all the way into Mill Street, where the existing one is now. We did all our property acquisition prior to funding, so now we just have to work through ODOT's process on final design, because we had 60% design. We're working through final design on those items and all our coordination pieces to make sure we're in ODOT's good graces to move forward. We're hoping end of next year into 2028 that project will start. Again, it's a lot of ODOT-dependent items, but we should have a true timeline dialed in with ODOT within the next couple weeks, and again, I can share that. And I'm open to any questions you guys have on any of these.
Bill?
From our November meeting, Aaron had reported that there's still an acquisition phase of some properties along First Street. Do you know if
That's
there's,
correct.
if anything's been accomplished there?
No, there has not been any movement on that.
Thank you.
Mrs. Corso?
Just an FYI, where they were putting the fence up behind my property on Cleveland Road, they were actually on my property.
Okay,
So I would suggest that you make sure they know what they're doing, because my son went out there and
absolutely.
showed them that and asked them to move it, so.
Okay. Yeah, anytime you have things like that, be like he did, let them know, let us know, and we'll certainly take care of that issue.
They did.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I do have one question with regard to Edgewater and the
Yes.
pathway heading down to Venice Road.
Correct, yeah.
How are we in that area?
So Josh Snyder is navigating that process because obviously the railroad, we've had so many different conversations on how to get that path through there. I think we've come to a common ground on how to make it happen. I don't have details on it. I just know that conversations continue, and it is a goal of ours to get that done within the next 2 years at least. So we can pair that up with what we're finishing over on that Lions Park portion. But I do have to say the Edgewater piece will go in with the curve that goes around right there into Monroe Street. There are a lot of utilities there. We've talked, and I mean overhead utilities, and we've had conversations with Ohio Edison. They're willing, obviously, they can move poles and things like that, but it does come at a cost. So we have started that conversation with Ohio Edison to see what is that cost? What are our options around that curve? So that's something we're working through, but that will go in when they do the Edgewater piece. It'll take care of that curve to get you up to Lions Park. So we're wanting to keep that as one whole phase.
If I remember correct, the design phase on Edgewater across the street from the docking area for Subaki had been completed as far as the design was concerned.
Yeah, yes, we have design on all of it, about good 70, 80%, maybe some parts 90. It's just those key pieces of railroad and utilities around the curve. So we're in a good place design-wise. It's getting these pieces coordinated and in a good place to move forward.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr.
this is a good time to remind the staff or reassure me that you're well aware of the easement that the city owns to the water on the end of Edgewater Drive.
Correct.
You're quite aware of that.
Yes,
then?
I am.
For some reason, I don't understand why, and Mr. Miller, I'm sure remembers this too, we were sort of expected the right-of-way to be narrowed and show up in the tax maps. It doesn't for some reason. It was, I'm not sure it was consistent. What we did was quite consistent with the decision, but maybe we could research that, but it should have been, I thought it was going to be a 10-foot right-of-way. Instead, it turned into a 10-foot easement, which doesn't show up in the tax maps and gets forgotten. But so if you're on that, are we going to incorporate that in any way, a note or some sort of, you can go, walk to the bay and look at the water or something there?
Not included on
We own the
this.
easement, we might as well use it, right?
Yeah, we've got many easements coming off the pathway, even off Cleveland Road, and we've got ideas. But right now, what is designed is what's shown, and it does not include that Edgewater, but it's certainly something that could be explored in the future.
Yeah, because if we don't, it's going to get forgotten.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the residents are even, maybe they are aware of it, maybe we made them aware of it, but if you bought the property there, you wouldn't, how would you know other than in the title search or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah, nope, we're aware of that one, and like I said, there are other easements or property that spear off of the current path or the future path that are looked at to be used as nodes, but our priority right now is to get the main pathways in, and then we'll develop those plans on those offshoots.
Good,
So,
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else on either the landing or the pathway? All right, we'll move on to the other group of old business, items that have no updates since last meeting. Are there any questions that anybody has on any of those projects? At this
Mr.
point?
Chairman.
Mark?
Well, go ahead first.
I was going to mention on the Battery Park project that
You beat me to it.
their final subdivision did come through Planning Commission and then City Commission. So that's the drawing of what the parcel shapes will look like in the development and the construction documents of the public right-of-way, so the extension of Water Street and Market Street into the development and the new kind of curved street. I think they called it Battery Park Bend. So that came through Planning Commission, City Commission, included a construction agreement. So basically what they're promising to do to build the public roadway in the specifications that we require. And then as long as that's completed, then we will accept that as those as public streets. So that documentation came through in December to City Commission meeting.
Okay, thank you. That answer your questions?
The only thing I was going to say, do they have a final plan that has been laid out that they can see where the buildings are going to be, how things are going to be oriented? Is that on the website?
I believe there's a battery park project page on the website. It is completely aligned. So the final planned unit development, the zoning came through, the planning commission, and it's completely aligned with the original preliminary planned unit development site plan. So the site plan, the building renderings, everything that you saw, the last, it's been static for a couple years. They just have continued to shape up the details of what those are going to look like.
So pretty much the same as what it was 2 years ago?
Yes.
Okay.
And at that planning commission meeting where it got approved, and now I'm thinking maybe it was October, I don't recall. But they did a fly-through video, so if you watch that meeting, you can see
Okay.
the 3D renderings of that. And if anybody's interested in that documentation, it's about probably 200 pages, I think 220 pages. There's the couple of the buildings are close to 60% design, so there's a lot of detail on materials and the depths and balconies and, views, the materiality. So lots of brick on the first floor. And then there's some design standards that are completely documented for the buildings that aren't as far along in design. So then we can make sure when they do submit those building permits that they match what they promised in the plan unit development. My understanding with the marina is going to be one of the first things they build. Right now, there's fencing up around the site. If you've been over there, they have moved forward with the brownfield grant, so they've got money to specifically scrape soil from the site and test it to see how much soil. They know they're gonna have to remove some soil because there's very strict standards on soil quality for when you're putting residential property, living space on land. So they are testing specific areas with a brownfield grant that's administered through the county. That's what they're doing right now. So they haven't actually started the development project yet. They're working on the brownfield portion, which is all the due diligence to get them to be able to start the development project.
Thank you.
Dr. Siemens?
You say that study is available. Would I be able to get a copy of the?
The PUD,
Right, what you were talking about with all the,
I don't know if I can print it for free for you, but I can get it is literally 200, it's 200 pages of 11 by 17 or like 24 by 36.
can I just take a look at it then?
But I can get you electronic files if you want to look at it online, but if you want to print, I'll have to ask.
I'll come.
But I absolutely am certain then we can get that to you. I just have
I'll
to
come
figure
up
out what
sometime, take a
method.
look.
I thought he wanted late night reading.
Yeah, sounds like it. I didn't know he was an engineer.
Yeah.
Just one year.
He's a dentist, come on.
All right, any other items on that list that anyone has a question regarding? All right, seeing none, then we're on to community input, and there are no members of the general public here today.
Mr.
So-
Chairman,
Yes,
I know this isn't part of our mission, but what's going on at Mills Creek Golf Course? There's a lot of construction going on right there. Anybody know?
The bridge.
I know.
Bridge is done.
that
The bridge is done.
Yeah, the
Bridge
bridge
is
is
done.
done.
Oh, yeah, we finished the bridge.
And they
Is that
have,
over
they have
200,000?
a grant through H2O Ohio, which is about waterways, and it's some sort of like
Holding pump?
riparian corridor, like, along the creek to help with flooding.
That's
That's
what
how
it
much
looked
I know.
like.
It's like creating additional cells, from what I understand. It's led by Erie Soil.
Yeah, I would talk to
Water-
Bree. I don't know the first thing about it, but I talk to Bree over at.
Okay.
South
Yeah,
Dakota.
Bree's
I
gonna be your
guarantee you
best
she's gonna
person.
know it all.
Good.
Yeah.
Wetland creation, kind of.
We just had the ideal land for them to do this project, basically, and we've always partnered historically with them on any of our shore stuff or flooding issues or things like that, and so through grant work, Bree did a lot of work on this. She came up with this pilot project that, from my understanding, will, when we get the raised waters, it's gonna go off into these cells instead of absorbing the land and going off over bridges and into the underpasses over on Tiffin Ave. That's my understanding, so.
So, Mr. Chairman, can we look forward to, more lost golf balls then?
Happily, yes.
Good.
You better up your game.
Yes.
Good luck. Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Harrington.
move to adjourn?
Is there a second?
Second.
All right,
Do
we're
it.
adjourned. Thank you.
I'm out.
Get out of here.
Unanimous.
No, you don't.